Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this Athenian Stranger tutorial video where today we will continue our lesson from yesterday with some guided practice. And that lesson from yesterday can be found, of course I'll link it in the description and in a pinned comment, but this lesson from yesterday can be found here if you want to pause the video and go back and watch the actual full lecture. So this is the guided practice for how to graph a linear equation given in slope-intercept form. And this is really just a practice video where we're going to work some problems. In our first problem, we're given y equals 3 over 2x plus 4, and we have to identify some things about this, some features of this equation. The slope is 3 over 2, and that must mean that the rise is 3 and the run is 2. So up 3 over 2. The coordinates of the y-intercept, here's the y-intercept right here, plus 4, and that would be, the coordinates would be 0 on the x and 4 on the y. So now that we have these points, we can find another coordinate pair. That's what we want to do right here. We want to find, because we need 2 points to graph a line. So we've got one pair here, and we'll label these x1 and y1. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take, for the x2 coordinate, the x coordinate of the second coordinate pair, we'll take the x1 coordinate, which is 0, and we'll add the run. That's the denominator of the slope. So we'll add 2, and that gives us a new x coordinate of positive 2. The y coordinate's done the same way with the y. We take 4 from y1. We add the rise to that. That's 3, so we 4 plus 3. And that gives us a new y coordinate of 7. So our new coordinate pair here would be 2, 7. This would be x2 and y2. So when we create a graph and graph these points, we'll have 2 points, we can create a line. We're actually going to find a third point now, and that will be the X-intercept. So it says find label 0 or root, and that's the X-intercept. And what we do is we write the equation here, y equals, the equation we were given, y equals 3 over 2 x plus 4, and we assign a 0 to the y, like that, and then we solve for x. So 0 equals 3 over 2 x plus 4. Okay, so what I'll do now is subtract 4 from both sides. Now I have negative 4 equals 3 over 2x. And I need to do keep flip change here, or multiply by the reciprocal, so I'll multiply both sides by 2 over 3. On the right side, that allows me to cancel out all the numbers, and I just have x by itself. X equals 2 times negative 4 is negative 8 over 3. Okay, now that is the x-intercept, but it's not very helpful to us. We need a decimal. So first we'll convert to mixed form. 3 goes into 8 2 times, so negative 2 and 2/3, because there's 2 as a remainder. And as a decimal, that is negative 2.6 repeating. Okay, so the coordinates, this is the x-intercept, x-int, or the 0 or the root. The coordinates would be negative 2.6 repeating, comma 0. Because wherever the x-intercept is, y is 0. Wherever the y-intercept is, x is 0. Now let's draw us a graph. Okay, I'll draw this graph here, and let me do it like this. I don't need any negatives, so I'll draw this graph like this. So first we'll draw in our vertical axis. That's the y-axis. And I'll go ahead and draw in the x-axis down here, and we will only be working in quadrant 2. We'll be working quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. Okay, so we'll draw it like this. Okay, now I need to label, I need to demarcate some points. So line up one of those numbers right over the x-axis, and we'll go up by 1/8 inches, or yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's good enough. On the x-axis, we'll do the same thing. Line up a line there, and then go over. First, we'll go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the left, we'll go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that should be enough. That should be enough to plot what we need. So we have all 3 points. We've got the coordinates of the y-intercept, the coordinates of the second point, and the coordinates of the x-intercept. Let's plot all 3 and let's see if they all line up. So we can draw a line through them. So first we'll plot the y-intercept at 0, 4. That would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would live right here. Okay, that's the y-intercept at 0, 4. The next point will be this point that we found, 2, 7. So that would be 2 on the x and 7 on the y. So 4, 5, 6, 7. And then over 2. Put me somewhere like right there. Let me line it up. Okay, so the point would be right about there. Okay, and that would be point 2, 7. The third point is the x-intercept, and that's here, negative 2.6 repeating, 0. So just past the halfway point with negative 2, so negative 1, negative 2, and then halfway between 2 and 3, or negative 2 and negative 3, I'll put a dot right about there. Okay, and that's going to be the x-int. Its coordinates are negative 2.6 repeating, 0. So hopefully we can slide our ruler in here and see the points line up. And voila, they do. Okay, so once you get your points all lined up and you're ready, you can draw your line through those 3 points. Just like that. And that's how you draw in a line. We now label that line y equals 3 over 2x plus 4. Okay, so that's how you do problem number 1. Problem number 2, we're going to do it just the same way, just more practice. Okay, so here we're given a new function or a new equation. Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 3. So the slope in this one would be negative 1 over 2, negative 1/2. And in this case, we have a fall. The fall is negative 1. That's the movement on the y-axis. And the run is 2, the movement on the x-axis. The coordinates of the y-intercept for this problem are, here's the y-intercept at negative 3, 0, negative 3. And now we'll find that second point. The x2 coordinate, we'll label this x1, y1. The x2 coordinate is equal to the x1 coordinate, 0, plus the run. The run is 2. Okay, the run is 2. So 0 plus 2 is just 2. So that's the x2 coordinate. The y2 coordinate is the y1 coordinate, okay, which would be negative 3, plus or minus the rise or fall. So it's a fall, so we'll say negative 3 minus 3. Negative 3 minus the rise. okay, or the fall, which would be negative 3 minus 1 right here. Negative 3 minus 1 gives me negative 4. Okay, so the coordinates, my new coordinates for x2, y2 would be 2, comma, negative 4. Okay, now we'll go ahead and find the root or the 0, and that's the x-intercept. Okay, so I'll first rewrite the equation. Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 3. Remember, the first thing we do is we set y equal to 0, and then we solve for x. So I'm just rewriting the equation here, and now I'll solve for x by adding 3 on both sides. So now I have 3 equals negative 1/2 x. And to get rid of that negative 1/2 x on the right, I will do keep flip change and multiply by the reciprocal, negative 2 over 1. And I'll multiply that on both sides, negative 2 over 1 on the left and on the right. So negative 2 times 3 gives me negative 6 over 1, which is negative 6, and that is the x-intercept at negative 6. The coordinates are negative 6, comma 0. So now when we draw our line, we'll plot this point here, and this point here, all three. They should line up. Okay, so again, I'll draw kind of a strange looking graph here. Let me draw my vertical axis, the y-axis right here. And I'll mostly be working in quadrant 3, so I'll draw it like this. Now I've got to label off my points, so I'll slide in the ruler here and hover right. That's why it's got to be transparent. Hover right here, and then I'll go down 1, 2 by 1/8 inches, down 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's good enough. And then we'll do the same thing over here. On the X, line it up. See how the 3, there's a line going straight through that line above the 3. Now go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's good enough. And then on the right side of the y-axis, we'll go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Good enough. So let's see if we can plot all of our points now. First point would be the y-intercept at 0, negative 3. Okay, so 0, negative 3 right here. This is the y-intercept, y-int, at 0, negative 3. Okay, the next point is this 2, negative 4. So here we're over 2 on the positive side on the x-axis, so I didn't label my axis x. On the x-axis, we go over 2 and then down 4. So that would be right here. Right here. And this would be point 2 here at 2, negative 4. Then I plot the x-int at negative 6, 0. So we go over here, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the x-axis. We'll plot that point in. Okay, and that's going to be the x-int, and its coordinates are negative 6, 0. Okay, so we have a downward sloping negative slope line. Slide in that ruler, and good, they all line up again. That's how you know the math was done correctly. Once you line up all your points and you're comfortable with how you've lined them up, draw a line through all the points like that. Okay, label your line y equals negative 1/2 x minus 3, and you are done. Okay, so that is how you do the guided practice problems for Unit 2, Lesson 5, and that is now added. So this will be a separate video since I moved it to a new day. That'll now be added to these video notes from the full lesson. All right. So I appreciate your attention. Each one of these problems took roughly 7.5, 8 minutes. So that's how long they'll take to do. Please make sure to give this video a like if this was helpful. Of course, all the links will be in the description and the pinned comment. Please leave a comment if you have a question. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you are always alerted to new videos on this channel. Thank you.